Another Nintendo lawsuit against Palworld might be close, experts say. So I've been trying my best to keep up when it comes down to the lawsuit with, Pokemon and Pocket Pair against Palworld. So it is one of those things that, for anyone that doesn't know, just to kind of fill you in a little short details, Nintendo was pretty much suing Palworld because of patents. Now, personally, when Palworld came out and everything, when it came down to the type of monsters that they were going to be having and having it so it was a game where you collect these creatures and everything like that, I personally thought it was going to be like a copyright strike that they were going to go for them, like a lawsuit that they were going to do, because of the fact that there were so many of the creatures that look like Pokemon. But to a lot of people's surprise, myself included, it was patents that they went for. So for anyone that doesn't know, one of the patents that they had included was one where it was a mechanic where if you throw an object to catch a creature, that would be considered a patent under Pokemon and Nintendo, which is something I did not like. Another patent that they had was that you couldn't actually ride the creatures that you capture. So, obviously, whenever you're playing, let's say like the Game Boy games from back in the day, or kind of like the current, more recent ones, where if you were to capture one of the creatures and you're riding on their back and it shows that, that would be considered, something that was under Nintendo's patent laws. So that was another thing that people didn't like, myself included. And then the third one that I can think of that comes to mind was there was one of the features. So whenever you have, for instance, like with Pokemon, you have a Pokeball and you end up throwing the Pokeball, they have it so that when you're holding the Pokeball getting ready to throw it, it'll show a certain color in regards to how successful you can be to actually capturing that creature or Pokemon in Pokemon's instance. So for anyone that's played like Pokemon Go or something, whenever you're holding the Pokeball and you're trying to get ready to throw it, and you'll see kind of like the yellow and then green. Green is like the good to go, where your chances are going to be pretty high. They're putting a patent up against that. Now, this is something I don't agree with and I do not like at all, because if it was something where Nintendo was, going after Power World because of the creatures, I would be more susceptible to agreeing with them in that regards. But the fact that they're going for patents is something that I fundamentally do not agree with. Now, it is one of those things that this lawsuit has gone on in Japan. So this isn't something that's going, worldwide or in the States or anything like that. This is just a lawsuit between them two in Japan. But as we're going to go through some of this information here in this article, we're going to see that that might actually be changing. So we'll go ahead and go over this. I'll give my thoughts as we go along, and then we'll see what we got here. So Nintendo has been granted yet another anti-Palworld patent in the United States, its third such IP to date. According to one patent expert, this turn of events indicates that the company might be close to filing another lawsuit against Palworld. The Pokemon Company, TPC, and Nintendo originally sued Palworld developers Pocket Pair in September of 2024. The lawsuit filed in the Tokyo District Court alleged that the Palworld infringed on multiple patents jointly held by the plaintiffs. Since then, Nintendo and TCP have moved to secure some of the dispute's patents in the US, signaling that the case could eventually go global. And again, that's something I'm not happy about, and I'm really not hoping is comes to fruition. Just because I've stated it in my past videos, the fact that Nintendo is going after them for patents is really gonna hurt the gaming industry, because all this is gonna do is it's gonna discourage other game developers and individuals out there from kind of going in the same direction as Palworld. Not necessarily where they're kind of copying Pokemon and kind of ripping it off in a sense, but in the sense where if you decide to have a game that has creatures in it that you can collect and stuff like that, it's going to discourage a lot of individuals out there from either not making the game or having to really feel like they're walking on eggshells to be able to make it in a way so that they don't get sued by Nintendo. And I do not agree with it. I don't like this, and I don't like the fact that patents can be set up for game mechanics. I think that's really wrong, and it's really going to hurt the gaming industry as a whole. So I don't like that. So the latest results of these efforts materialized in mid-March of 2025 when the USPTO granted Nintendo and TCP another seemingly anti-Palworld patent. GamesFray reports. Identified by US patent number 12246-255, the patent covers a system for seamlessly switching between different modes of transportation. Specifically, it outlines a method that allows the player's characters to alternate between riding a ground-based object and an airborne one. See, stuff like that, it's like, what the hell are we doing, man? So it's like if they decide to go from like riding something on the ground, let's say like a vehicle or just kind of a bike or something, to going airborne, that's going to be a patent that they're going for. Like stuff like that, man. It's like how is this okay? for them to be doing patents on game mechanics, dude. Like this is I feel like this is wrong. I do not like this at all. And it's just really weird that stuff like that can be patented to begin with. You know, if they decided to go off of, like I stated before, either the character designs or like the names and stuff like that, then yeah, then go ahead and sue them all day. But it's mechanics for these games, and I do not like that. That'd be like if, you know, Call of Duty Treyarch or someone were to come out and be like, "Oh, you can't have a game where you know, you're shooting in a first person perspective and you have these secondary objects that you can throw, like grenades or something like that, because that's under patent, you know, number whatever," and then being like, "Yeah, so that's something that they can't be doing." You know, it's just it's very stupid. Or having like a game that's like in a medieval setting and be like, "Oh, they can't have a potion that's green with this type of object that it's shaped like." You know, it's just really dumb, and it's really unfortunate that this is happening to begin with. And I feel like, especially with the way that Nintendo's being looked at right now, with, you know, the whole issue with the Switch 2 and everything, this isn't going to help them, man. This isn't going to be a good thing for them. So Nintendo is close to obtaining its fourth anti-Palworld patent in the US. Nintendo already had a similar anti-Palworld rejected on 22 out of 23 claims back in December of 2024. However, it ended up amending its application following an interview with the USPTO examiner, revising several claims while adding one more. The amended application now seems likely to be granted in the near future, which could leave Nintendo and TCP with 4 patents that they could potentially use against Pocket Pair in the US. And I don't know, man, this isn't looking good. I've stated it before. I'm on Power World's side with this. I love Pokemon. You know, I grew up with it. It's a company I very much love, as well as Nintendo. But there's some things that no, I don't agree with. And as far as like the gaming world, like we gotta stand our ground, man. Like this isn't okay, and this isn't a good thing. I'm really hoping that Power World ends up coming victorious in this lawsuit, because if this does end up going in Nintendo and Pokemon's favor, it's gonna be a bad thing for gaming in general. And I don't agree with that at all. So Nintendo may be preparing another patent complaint against Palworld. GamesFray's patent analysis, Florian Mueller characterized this turn of events as a strong indicator that Nintendo and TCP are preparing another patent complaint against Palworld. Instead of Japan, this next lawsuit would seemingly be filed in the US. Mueller suspected that the timing of the complaint hinges on an approval of the recently amended patent number 18652-883, assuming the case is indeed going global. The US lawsuit could be filed sometime between late spring and summer of 2025. Pocket Pair previously said it intends to fight the Palworld lawsuit, but without addressing the now realistic possibility of having to wage legal battles on multiple fronts in both Japan and the US, which I don't know, man. At this point, I'm really hoping that it doesn't become one of those things where, you know, Nintendo just tries to kind of suck them dry, in the sense of like not only having 2 different lawsuits from one end to another as far as Japan and in the US, but also having it where they try to uh, stretch it out as long as they possibly can, to the point where it kind of sucks Pocket Pair dry, because of the fact that they're going to have to deal with the court fees and all this type of stuff, the headache and the litigation that they're going to have to be going through from one country to another. Now, Palworld was able to make a really good impact as far as the game coming out and make a lot of money, which is one of the main reasons I feel like Nintendo was going after them, is because the game was so successful and it was able to sell so well. But at the same time, there's going to be a chunk of that's going to have to go into these legal battles and everything like that, which is extremely unfortunate. So, in a prior statement to Games Rant, Mueller labeled Nintendo's Palworld lawsuit as a clear case of bullying, which it clearly is. As of early April of 2025, the longtime patent analysis believes there is still a chance for the Pokemon Company and Nintendo to drop the idea of going after Pocket Pair in the US. However, war appears more likely than peace right now, Mueller concludes. Now, yeah, again, I really am hoping that Powell comes out victorious in this legal battle, because this isn't right, man. I really don't like this, and I don't agree with it at all. So it's gonna be one of those things where, you know, I'm sorry to say it, but from what I've been hearing from a lot of people, they've been stating that it's one of those cases where, you know, this is kind of Pokemon's fault, because of the fact that, you know, the Pokemon Company and Nintendo haven't really done anything innovative when it comes down to Pokemon. they've kind of left it in the same place it's been for the past few years. They haven't really innovated nothing with it. They've kind of kept it so that it's more in the line of kids as opposed to growing with their audience, which has left a lot of fans feeling like they're kind of left in the dark. So when Power World came out and was able to kind of do a little bit more of like an adult version of this type of game, and kind of have it in a sense that people would, who have gotten older with, what I mean, these types of games in this franchise and everything, it is one of those things that this kind of caters more to them, and a lot of people have been stating that if Pokemon would just be more willing to innovate, more willing to grow with their product and everything like that, that this wouldn't have been the case. So many people wouldn't have ran to Power World because of it. And I did a video a few weeks back where one of the individuals, the head of Pokemon, the Pokemon company, was stating how they're hoping that, with the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, they want to be able to at least see it reach its 50th anniversary and possibly 100th anniversary. Now, if they decide to stay in the direction that they're going to, they're not going to see that happen because of the fact that they're not innovating, they're not doing more with it. So they really got to look inward and try to decide what they're going to do to try to get more fans in, and kind of, like I stated, grow with the individuals that have been fans since pretty much the not only the franchise has started, but those that have been able to come as, it's grown, and be able to come along and become fans of it since then as well. So at this point, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen as far as this lawsuit goes and everything like that. But like I stated, I'm really hoping that Nintendo doesn't come out victorious on this, because of the fact that it's going to do a lot more harm for gaming as a whole than it would do well for just Nintendo. So we'll see. Time will tell when it comes down to that. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you are, on one side or the other, let me know what you guys think. If you are for Pokemon and Nintendo, why are you on their side? If you're for Pocket Pair and Power World, what do you guys think? If you guys can let me know. So if you can let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments, if you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, I'm Monik out. Peace.